Hello, welcome back to Fishing with Mr. Chow. And now we're going to go through my lower unit and check it out and see if there's anything that needs replacement. We are going to replace the water pump and then do an oil change after that. Hopefully there's nothing else that needs to be replaced. So enjoy the video.
Okay, this
Okay.
holds this anode in.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath this plate is a screw you have to remove to get your lower unit off.
Okay.
And a little bit about this screw, you absolutely must put Loctite on this screw.
Oh. I got it.
Screw just pull out?
No, a washer.
Oh. Shouldn't be
It's
no
coming
washer
from here.
there. No washer goes there.
No washer goes there?
Nope. I don't understand why somebody put one there. Not required. But this screw right here, how this unit mounts up. Is
Yeah.
You have one heavy fastener here,
Mm-hmm.
you have two more here,
Mm-hmm.
and you have two more right here.
Okay.
If this screw is too loose or comes out, what happens is this is your last pickup point for mounting. The unit wants to try to rock a little bit. And it'll rock back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When you pull the lower unit off, you'll see the wear marks. But when this rocks back and forth, these two start coming loose. And before you know it pulls this stud out and it breaks your midsection, your lower unit's in the bottom of the lake. All because this screw wasn't tightened correctly. Loctite is critical.
Okay.
That's the first one I tightened when I put it together. Because then I tighten these down and ensures that's very, very tight and Loctite on it so it can't possibly come loose.
Okay.
And if you don't use the speedometer, the pressure speedometer, you can get rid of this line if you want to.
Yeah.
That's all that line goes for, is down to this hole for the pressure fit speedometer
Okay.
on it. Some guys worry about that, think it's critical. It's not. Unfortunately, there's no room for a ratchet, socket, or box pin. And you'll find that these won't come all the way off.
Okay.
They'll come on and stop.
Okay.
So you have to loosen this nut, let it down a little to get them all the way off.
Okay.
And same thing putting it back on. You got to have a little space to start the nuts.
Oh.
Now, if sometimes the dowels are really stuck on and the case doesn't want to shake free, if that's the case, what you can do is put a screwdriver blade or a piece of metal in here and you can turn this against that and it'll force it to separate. Now, once in a while it's stuck on real tight and it's required to get it done. It ain't going anywhere till that one's out of there.
And that one's hidden really good in there.
If the lower units have been off a few times, usually they're not stuck on. It's when they're fairly new and they haven't been serviced several times, it's just stuck.
Okay.
If that, like I was saying, if that happens and they are stuck a little bit, a lot of times I'll fix a little pry in here, like that.
Okay.
So it's separated
Yep.
on it. Sometimes it's tight enough, you put this in here and use a wrench to screw the bolt up and that forces it out.
Okay.
So even that isn't enough to get it off. stuck in the back now, it looks like. This alignment dowels that go in there. And sometimes they're stuck on those dowels pretty snugly.
What about those 2 screws right there? These 2 don't have to come out?
Oh, the nuts are off those. You didn't see me take them off?
And I
They
don't.
still got washers on them. Sometimes the washers hang out.
Oh, okay.
They're sitting in the floor there.
And there you go.
So sometimes you got to help them out a little bit.
Mm.
Now these nuts should come off. And I leave that nut so it don't fall out in the ground.
Okay.
So it can't come completely out of there.
Okay.
And when I'm ready to pull it all the way, then I take the front nut off.
Right. I think you might need
Yeah.
help with that.
That hose is going to...
A bit later.
Yeah, this is just a... All this does is when you put it together, this lines you up with the pipe up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can get it started straight. Otherwise, it's impossible to get your fingers in there to line it up.
Mm.
So this just sits in there, does nothing. It's just a tool to help assembly. And a new water pump always comes with one of those in the kit.
Okay.
Okay, I need a 5/16 and half-inch socket. I should have those out here already.
What's the importance of replacing your water pump?
I'll show you when I get it out.
Why is it important?
This is a rather high failure rate item.
Because
and then one thing you have to do is it makes it easier to pull the pump off. You'll see this rubber seal here. Just take that off first so you're not fighting it. Also, the new water pump will have one of those in the kit.
Okay.
And invariably, that's kind of semi-stuck in place. So, 2 screwdrivers to work it off there. These are different than a 3-liter. So there's a little bit different requirements, different torque specs, and a different parts list of what you probably will need doing one. And I'll get into that in a moment here. But their water pumps on these motors come with the new housing. They do not the 3-liter. You reuse the old housing. There's seal housing on the 3-liter motor. But usually the washers are holding it, and the plastic are holding it a little bit. So, just a little bit of patience. You want to retrieve those washers. They're important and they do not come in the kit.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to get replaced. Now, this is a critically important gasket that quite often fails in water pumps. It's one of the things that goes wrong with them. Oh, the impeller is in here.
Okay.
This is actually the pump right here. And over time, you have two things to contend with on a water pump impeller. Being rubber in a steel housing, you can imagine what you're doing to it if you run in your motor and it's not in water.
Yeah.
It's getting hot, and it's getting hot fast. So most guys say don't even ever start them out of water. I think it's okay for a couple seconds, no more than that. But this pump's got a lot of wear in it. The set on these impellers, the more they bend like this, the less efficient they are. The tension against the side of the housing helps it build pressure. And they wear on the edges, continuously wearing. Look at all the cracks in here.
Yep.
That impeller has a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
A lot of time. So I'm convinced your water pressure is going to go up on this thing with the new pump in it. But in a minute I'll have the new one out here and you can see it too for comparisons. Now, on the 2.5 liter, they have a plate underneath it. It has gaskets and O-rings. You absolutely imperative, in my opinion, to pull this plate out and at least replace the gaskets. Because of cleanup time and stuff like that, I think most of the time you're better off to just replace this. And this does not come in the kit. You have to buy this part separately.
Okay.
Water pump adapter plate. And I keep those parts here. Because more often than not, I'm putting a new one in here instead of reusing the one I'm trying to take out right now, which is usually stuck in there pretty good. You're trying to get the screwdriver to bite into it when you pry it, get it moving a little bit. And after a while, you'll get it loosened up and it'll slide right out then. But it's tough to get it started. Most guys replace that gasket, put it back together, and they're done.
Okay.
They don't realize what's underneath this and how important it is. And quite often, there's a problem with that gasket, and they not aware of it, don't replace it. But I'm not sure. Seeing this makes me wonder if this gasket wasn't just about ready to fail. Because it usually doesn't tear up when they come off unless the vacuum causes it to see how that will suck in.
Yeah.
When they start failing, they start trying to pull inward. And then it fails and you get air in there and the pump can't work efficiently anymore. Really stuck. Oh, there we go. Starting to move now. Should come up pretty easy now. Okay, this is the rest of the story. This also does something else that's important. That's your shaft that goes into your lower unit. This is a seal that seals water from getting in and oil getting out. So this seal assembly is important to replace too. And this O-ring, they could go bad, as well as this gasket's in here. It's a bitch to clean. Now this can go and start sucking air in to things that can create problems. If you don't change the whole thing, you may be putting it back in just about as shape as it was when you tore it down.
Yeah.
That's why I really stress.
That's when you replace the whole kit.
With adapter, with the new adapter. Most people, I think, should just plan on just putting the adapter in. If the plastic is perfect. The parts will be in here to put new gaskets. It will not have the seal for the lower unit though. To get that seal, you have to get the whole new plate, which I prefer. So here's a new one. It's got the new seal already installed in it. You put the new gaskets, put it in, and you're done. And this seal gets replaced.
Yeah.
Because that can ultimately end up with a blown up lower unit if it starts leaking oil out or letting water into it. And this is a water pump kit. It does include, like this comes with all the gaskets too.
Yeah.
This one also has those same gaskets in it. Because a lot of guys will get the water pump kit, they'll take that apart, clean it up, replace the gaskets and put it back in.
Yeah.
But it has all those parts in here as well.
Okay.
Now, this is a good show and tell
Yep.
to check the differences in those.
Mm-hmm.
When they're out straight like this, they're going to do a good job building pressure, and they're quite rigid. They will start taking a set like this fairly quickly. It's a matter of how bad that set is, and also a matter of how much wear it gets on here. Because the more wear it gets on here, the less pressure. Mercury wants these replaced yearly. I tell guys, you get a water pressure gauge, learn to read that pressure gauge, what's normal for it. Like you put a new pump in it, you're probably going to have 5 or 6 pounds of pressure. As it breaks in, it will drop a little bit, say down to 3.5 or 4, but then it'll stabilize for a long time. Get used to that reading. Is it 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds? As it wears and gets older, you will see that idle pressure. You know what, 6 months ago that had 4 pounds, now it's only got 2. On these, when they start getting under 2, your pump's probably going bad on it. So you can use water pressure to, but do I need to actually replace that water pump every year?
Okay.
So if it's holding a good steady pressure that you're used to seeing, you can forego it for a year and do it the next year. That's what I do on my pumps.
Okay.
I actually get about 3 years on my pumps usually.
Yeah. I think that's been like 3 years.
But if you get it, if you run the motor where it picks up sand, it'll eat these up really fast.
Oh, okay.
The sand just destroys them really rapidly. But yeah, I believe that pump's got 3 years on it, looking at the impeller.
Yep.
So this is a good thing, getting it done. I do not necessarily think you have to do them every single year as Mercury recommends.
Yeah, it depends on how
And it's just
often
like
you
spark
run it.
plugs. If the spark plugs are clean, they're not black valve, I say you can probably run those plugs for 2 years safely. I don't like, absolutely do not like going beyond 2 years or 150 hours on them, no.
Okay.
These motors, your motor in your car fires a spark plug every other revolution. So at 3,000 RPM, in a minute, it's firing the plug 1,500 times. A two-stroke doing 3,000 RPMs fires at every revolution. It's firing the plug twice as much as a four-stroke is. So you get twice the wear just from that alone. Then the additional load, because you're running at heavy load conditions on an outboard motor, compared to a car, they're pulling hard all the time. That creates a lot of pressure in the cylinders, and it drives the coil voltage up to overcome that resistance. So the coils are working hard, the spark plugs are working really hard in an outboard. That's why Mercury wants them done. They say every 100 hours or 365 days to replace plugs. I don't agree with that because not everybody drives that way all the time. A lot of bass fishermen are wide open constantly. That's really hard on spark plugs and a few other things. The motors will do it, and they're built for it, but you need more frequent maintenance if you're driving them that way all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I got to clean that up. All right. It's a simple system. It's just the things you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to make tools sometimes. I used to make knives, so I made the scraper for cleaning.
Okay.
I heat treated it, sharpened it up the way I wanted it shaped and made to get in here for that gasket.
Oh, okay.
On it.
Self-made tool. All right.
Big scrapers you buy. Oh, my battery in this thing. The big scrapers you buy are too bulky, the blades aren't at right angle, and they just don't work very well.
Mm.
That's why this has a funny little bend on it, because I
Oh,
find it
okay.
useful for a lot of things. But the main reason I ever made it was specifically for these water pump gaskets, so I can get under here and lift and pick all the old gasket out here. Good, this one's not stuck. I hate it when they're stuck and you got to scrape every little tiny bit of it off. And I really don't want the chunks falling in there and going back through, passing through the water pump, and end up having a piece of it get into a thermostat and make it stick.
Mm.
So anyway, you can see the concept of it.
Yep.
It makes it easier to clean it up. I don't know of anybody that makes a gasket scraper like this. But yeah, if you're patient, you can straight scrape it. You just don't want to gouge the metal out and make low places in the sealing surface on it. But sometimes it's easier to take it like this, get it real flat in the surface and go over it a few times. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to dig the metal out from cutting it at an angle too much. And cleaning it around the bolt holes is real important. That's what guys neglect. Because that creates a high spot, and then they don't torque down and clamp properly. That's where your water comes up to the pump.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm going to work on from this side a little bit here now. I'll bring it and see yet. Sometimes you just simply have to, it doesn't push down, you end up having to use the pump over the top of it
Okay.
to press it down. This will help keep it square. There it went.
There you go.
See it down. It goes down a little below the surface when it's
Okay.
the O-rings in place.
Yeah.
All right, now it's just for this and other thing. Mash them up and do is to think it out, and, or go to the book and dig out the pages in the book on the.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you something. You guys can get alarmed about this. Do you see what's different over here on this side?
Mm.
Right here. This is missing. Okay, when they stamped the gasket out, they stamped this into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there. It doesn't do anything. It's for use of manufacturing. So when you take them apart, you'll see the piece of gasket that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It'll always be gone. You don't, guys run over, what happened here? I had a gasket torn out. No, because this is all an open void in here, and water pressure will erode that portion of the gasket. So you'll see it torn out at that location.
Oh, so
always.
that
The guys worry about it when they see that.
Okay.
I did too the first time I saw it.
So that just get torn out, huh?
And the water pressure cuts it out. I realized how it works. I said, oh, that's normal. That's just the way they manufacture it. End up with quite a few extra parts because every configuration they have the gasket in it because they on different motors and different lower units they may have a different configuration on it. So you just got to check carefully, be sure you have all the right sizes. This should be the correct up here.
They should number those.
Huh?
They should start numbering those.
Yeah, it would be wise that they stamped it for the people that they'll sit here and do a couple of pumps every single day.
Yeah.
But I'm careful about it, being sure it goes back correctly. Okay, that's correct. Now, we have to have, we need a new plate. Because this plate wears. It gets burnt and damaged and distorted over time. So we'll include a new plate, and you'll see this low area that goes down. It goes like this. Water comes up, smooth the water flow out. In fact, you can't put it on upside down; it won't fit.
Okay.
The bolt pattern in the dowels, if you try to put it outside, it won't go in place. Up here's an alignment dowel right there.
Okay. That part should be dummy proof.
Yeah. We have the last gasket contained with that goes under the cover. So all this area stays sealed up. One is output that goes up to the top, one's intake from the impeller on it. Now, we have a keyway, and we have an impeller. And there's a couple of different ways of getting this in the housing. And some of them, I have to preload them and get them in here first. Because if you rotate the impeller, you can tear up the gasket.
Yeah.
So usually the 2.5s though, I can lube everything, and as I push this on to this, I turn the shafts at the same time, and it bends these the proper direction. Because they're kind of a bitch to bend them all and get them stuffed in here, and then line it all up and slide it on. So, this one here, and we're going to try it that way, because 2.5s, it usually works the best to do it that way. 3 liters, it's best to put it in the housing first. I need that lined up with this.
Yeah.
You hold it there and get it done. That's the key way. Dawn dishwashing soap.
Washing soap?
Yep.
Okay.
Almost everybody knows about this. They use Dawn. Dawn is gentle, doesn't hurt seals and stuff like that. But lube it well.
Well, that's the first time I see that.
On it. And the high end up here, I'll wipe it on neck because I want everything slippery, slippery, slippery.
Okay.
Now, you put this down. Do you work today? Are you off today?
I work, but it's at 4.
Huh?
I work at 4.
We got plenty of time?
Yeah. It's only...
So, you know the direction of motor rotation is clockwise.
Clockwise, okay.
Okay, so as we push down, at the same time, we're going to turn. You see it start?
Yeah.
You keep pressure and keep turning it. And it'll self-align. It self-aligns, and it also bends the impellers the proper direction. If you turn it the wrong way, and then you put it in, you can destroy the pump real fast.
Yeah.
But that's usually the easiest way. Now, you can't do that on the 3 liter. Because of the way the gasket is, when you spin it, the impeller will catch the gasket, tear the gasket up. So but it's a bigger impeller. So you load the cover with it, and then you're going to line up the keyway and dowel and carefully push everything down.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it works great on these.
That's what I've seen.
Huh?
That's what I've seen people do. But
Yeah, don't. I've found out the hard way after destroying a few gaskets on a 3 liter motor. Don't do it that way on a 3 liter.
okay.
It's too hard to avoid damage to the gasket doing it. this works really well. So, okay, now we got 3 washers. Got the big one that goes up here. Should be one more small one like this one. And that's, you wash it. You set it to what you want, and you pull it till it says 0. Now, if you have a click type wrench, you just turn it till it clicks.
Yeah.
This hot tool's always been good to me. I see it. I'm a little frugal. I see no reason to spend $150 for another torque wrench when this one's worked so good for so many years for me. It's actually antique now. See what I mean? It may take quite a bit more for it to go down yet. Fully seat the gaskets and O-rings. And you keep, don't just tighten one all the way down.
Yeah.
Because you want to go down level. So in the end, you don't end up over compressing the gasket in one spot. And by intent, once I have what's about right, I'll go about a quarter turn more where it's actually over torqued.
Okay.
To me, that ensures the gasket's properly compressed.
Yeah.
That nothing's holding it up. Then, in theory, I take that quarter turn back off. And odds are it's going to go close back to that additional quarter turn I put on it.
Okay.
To me, that because there's so much stuff here that you're compressing, that helps assure that it's fully seated.
Okay.
I'm nervous about just going to the torque that it's actually compressed everything correctly. That's why I overdo it and then back it back off a little bit and retighten. Oh, I didn't back that one back off yet. It's returning to about where it was. If you're a few inch-pounds over, I don't think that really matters.
Okay.
The 3-liter motors are extremely critical in torque. They have a thin metal cover, and it's easy to warp it, and then it won't seal correctly if you over-tighten it. And it'll warp the cover, and then you end up having to buy a new cover to get the gaskets to seal right.
Yeah.
I think these are more forgiving. I think it's a better pump design, even though it's smaller, because this is a composite. It's very rigid. Those thin metal covers aren't. It's like they're like a thick beer can on it. I see less failures from gaskets on these than I do the 3 liters by far. I'll do the same thing on that. I will over torque it. Because it's a smaller screw, it won't tolerate near as much torque. That feels over torqued now. 25, 30, that's about 32 right there. And I'll have to back it off probably. Yep. Quarter turn. That's it. Good.
Okay.
Got to go in there. Make sure the O-ring's in it. It is. And move it. That's a rubber seal. The seal's on that copper pipe
Okay.
that comes down from the motor that sends the water up to the top.
Okay.
Helps keep stuff from rusting together. It helps keep those wear lines like that too.
Yeah.
A little lubrication reduces that wear. Now we've got this washer to put back on that I almost forgot to put on. What that does is a propeller spinning can create a vacuum. It can suck air around that inside the pump with the water and cause aeration. This stops that air from getting sucked in there.
Okay.
The vacuum from it keeps it down sealed against the water pump. You guys think it keeps the water from leaking out, but no, it's not like before. Stops air from getting in it. Kind of like you got a straw and you're sucking on it, it's got a hole in it, nothing comes up the straw.
And you have some bubbles. Okay.
Okay. That's the reason I had the remote starter on it, just to line up the crankshaft. Okay. Right. Now the shifter.
Now,
You have to you feel the pressure on it.
oh, it's
You can visually see it.
okay.
It probably went now.
Yeah, it's in.
Okay? That should be it. Now it's probably just the dowels. But what I do, once I have this up, I'm going to turn the shaft and you're going to shift it. Make sure the shifter works.
All right.
Okay? So it just shifts it to forward gear while I turn it. Okay? It's forward, neutral. Now go to reverse. Good. Neutral. Good. It's working. It's indexed correctly.
Oh, okay.
Good. We got it. Now, I'm going to start 2 of these. If you don't start them, you have to pull it back down so you can get the nuts on. It has to be hanging a little bit. If you pull it all the way up with a bolt, then you can't get the nut in there.
Oh, okay.
Back's up a little bit too high now. We'll go in. There. Same thing when you tighten them up. If you don't run them down, you'll jam them into this, and you try to tighten the bolts.
Okay.
So you gotta watch how you pull it up on them.
You have to make sure you have the right distance.
Yeah, you gotta get the right distance to get the nut on. And then you gotta get the nut down far enough, because if you're going to tighten a bolt like this, you jam them in here, and you put stuff in a bind. Tips of your fingers doing that. All right, now two more washers and level socket.
Yeah, it's in there.
Sometimes you have to pull it up a little further to get this started. Now we have to run these other nuts down. Yeah, very exact order have to follow. No, I'm not going to tighten anything yet. Until I put that bolt in and tighten it. That one. Vertical. You just don't want to take a chance of shaking out or falling out.
Hmm.
The others are self-locking nuts. They'll stay put.
Oh, okay.
And this one you can't count on it 100%.
You're looking for ratchet.
And I prefer to tighten this one first, because it will
Okay.
pull this back down firmly, clamp it before I tighten the others. And I whale down on that pretty good, about 50 foot-pounds.
Mm.
One of those things, paranoia sets in. I've seen several of them through the years come off. And I can tell by looking at them. If I look at the bottom of it, where they broke,
Yeah.
that bolt came out. And I can guarantee you that what caused your failure. I know one guy here, I don't know him personally, but he had a motor, yearly half hull, 70 hours on it, lost lower unit. Mercury was not warranty yet.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why he didn't have his yearly maintenance done.
Oh.
Their consensus was if you'd had your maintenance done, lower unit would have been off, and that would have been retorqued properly at that time. Shouldn't have come off anyway, but it gave Mercury a way out of it. They did not decline on it. But it doesn't, it's not just the lower unit fuse, 'cause when that happens, it breaks the midsection right here, so all of this has to be replaced in the middle.
Oh, okay.
It's not just the lower unit, it's a lot more than that. Now, spark bolt down, and then I will torque the idle few nuts down. And the reason I save those for last
Uh-huh.
is everything else as tight as I can get it. And I figure by doing those last, everything else is pulled out tight, they'll tighten
Okay.
better. There can't be any small spaces or lack of tension on other things that might make these harder to tighten.
Yeah.
Because with the end wrench, you can't put a lot of pressure on them without stripping off the nut.
Yep.
So it's hard to tighten these as tight as you would actually like to tighten them.
Okay.